Idea of being a fairy often conjures up images of magical creatures with wings, enchanting abilities, and a connection to nature. While becoming a literal fairy may not be possible, I knew I can still embrace the essence of what fairies represent and incorporate it into our life in various ways. For the longest time in my life, since I remember, I was fascinated towards fairies. I always wondered what it would be like to flutter through the air with delicate wings, spreading magic and joy everywhere I go. I was so into the magic world that I used to get dreams about being a fairy. One such show that sparked the love for magic for me was Wings Club. I remember watching the first episode and instantly relating to Bloom, the main character. She always wanted to be a fairy, but she never knew that she herself was one. I knew I wanted to have same experience as her in real life, but I knew I can never be a fairy in real life, so I used to dream about it. I used to love the costumes that those fairies wore. I loved that in each season they used to get new powers, and those glittery clothes used to attract me more than anything. Not just being a fairy, but magic and miracles attracted me towards them always. I used to look at my life as a world full of magic where everything is working out for me, and it indeed is. Fairies, with their ability to fly and disappear at will, they embody a sense of adventure and possibility. They offer a respite from the constraints of reality, allowing us to believe in a world where anything is possible. The stories I read and the movies I watched ignited my imagination, and I found myself daydreaming about what it would be like to be one of those enchanting beings. As I grew older, my fascination with fairies evolved. It wasn't just about the fantasy anymore. It became a symbol of embracing my inner child, nurturing my creativity, and never losing sight of wonder and magic that surrounds us. While we may never physically become fairies, we can still embrace their essence in our lives. We can tap into our own innate magic, nurture our dreams, and approach the world with a childlike wonder. Remember, it is our imagination that keeps the spirit of fairies alive within us. Fairies represent magic and miracles, and for me, magic is an important part of my life, since I always wanted to be a wizard or fairy and fly, levitate, and use the spells to change my life, and of course, change the life of others. Fairies not only symbolize magic, they also symbolize creativity. I always was a creative child. I had an immense love for art and craft. I loved to decorate my room, and makeup gave me a sense of fulfillment as I could not only enjoy the love for colors, but I also could transform myself just like how fairies do. I loved makeup since my childhood. Forests have long been associated with fairy folklore and mythology in many cultures around the world. The connection between forests and fairies can be traced back to ancient beliefs and stories, where forests were often seen as enchanted realms inhabited by magical beings, including fairies. In folklore and literature, fairies are often depicted as nature spirits or supernatural creatures closely tied to the natural world. Forests, with their lush vegetation, mysterious atmosphere, and diverse wildlife, were considered ideal habitats for these magical beings. Forests, with their lush vegetation, mysterious atmosphere, and diverse wildlife, were considered ideal habitats for these magical beings. The dense canopies, towering trees, and secluded groves of the forest provide an enchanting setting for fairy tales and legends. Fairies were believed to dwell in specific parts of the forest, such as ancient trees, fairy rings, or hidden glens. They were thought to have the power to shape-shift, disappear, and manipulate nature. Fairies were often associated with the cycle of seasons, and their presence in the forest was believed to bring blessings, fertility, and abundance to the surrounding land. Many folktales and myths describe encounters between humans and fairies in the forest. These stories often involve a mortal stumbling upon a fairy gathering or stumbling into the realm of fairies while wandering deep into the woods. I always wanted to be a fairy, and if God would ask me what I want to be in my next life, I would definitely say I want to be a fairy.